The empty chair. The ancient chamber seemed to breathe, its crystalline walls pulsing with a soft, ambient light that had illuminated galactic politics for millennia. Dr. Elena Santos stood before the curved table of the Galactic Council, her eyes fixed on the peculiar empty space that had haunted scholars for generations. Unlike the other seats, each carved from materials unique to their species' homeworlds, this space remained conspicuously bare. The chamber's automated systems still recognized it, still projected the holographic nameplate that read Terra above the vacancy. But Earth had never claimed its seat, had never stepped forward to take its place among the stars. Not when humanity first achieved faster-than-light travel, not during the Proxima expansion, not even after the Great Reform when the Council threw open its doors to emerging civilizations. Elena's research partner, a towering Arcturian named Vex, moved beside her. His crystalline form caught the chamber's light, sending rainbow refractions across the ancient floor. "The timing of your species has always puzzled us," he said, his translator converting the harmonic vibrations of his natural speech. "You had the technology, the invitation, the right. Yet you chose isolation." She ran her hand along the smooth surface where Earth's seat should have been, feeling the slight warmth of dormant systems beneath. Her archaeological team had spent months getting clearance to examine the chamber, and now that they were here, the mystery only deepened. The historical records show Earth's representatives attended exactly one council session, Elena said, pulling up data on her neural interface. They observed, declined the offered seat, and departed. No explanation was ever given. The chamber's archival system hummed to life, responding to their presence. Holographic displays flickered around them, showing fragments of ancient meetings, diplomatic crises averted, wars prevented, alliances forged. But Earth was conspicuously absent from all of them. A sudden alert pierced the quiet, making both researchers jump. Elena's neural interface flashed urgent notifications. Something was happening in the outer rim. She expanded the feed, and her blood ran cold. The Nexus had finally arrived. For decades, deep space sensors had detected their approach. A vast, living network of biomechanical ships moving between the galaxies. Some had theorized they were peaceful explorers. Others warned they were an extinction-level threat. Now, as the first images streamed in from the outer rim colonies, the debate was settled. By the first light, Vex whispered, his crystalline form dimming in horror. The footage showed massive ships, their surfaces writhing with tentacular appendages, descending on border worlds. Defense fleets crumbled before them, their weapons seemingly useless against the strange, adaptive technology. Elena's neural interface pinged again, a priority message from Earth Command. Her eyes widened as she read it, decades of questions suddenly crystallizing into understanding. She turned to Vex, her voice steady despite the gravity of the moment. "We need to get to Earth immediately," she said. "There's something you need to see." The journey to Earth took 3 days, even with their research vessel's advanced drive systems. Elena spent the time reviewing classified files that had been suddenly declassified, each revelation more staggering than the last. When they finally achieved orbit around her homeworld, she could sense Vex's confusion. "Your world appears different," he said, studying the sensor readings. "These energy signatures." Elena nodded. "What you're seeing is just the surface. The real story is beneath." Their shuttle was cleared for landing at a facility in the Antarctic, far from the gleaming cities that dotted Earth's surface. As they descended, the ice below them suddenly split open, revealing a vast complex hidden beneath the frozen surface. Vex's crystalline form pulsed with surprise as they were guided into an enormous hangar. Inside, stretching for kilometers, were ships. Not the conventional vessels used in human space, but something entirely different. Their hulls were black as space itself, their lines suggesting capabilities that shouldn't be possible with known physics. Hundreds of them, a fleet hidden from the galaxy's eyes. When humanity first achieved faster-than-light travel, Elena explained, we detected something in the void between galaxies, something vast, ancient, and hungry. The Nexus. Our scientists ran the projections. They would reach our galaxy within a century, and conventional weapons would be useless against them. They walked through the facility, passing crews preparing the ships for launch. The council seat. Vex began, understanding dawning in his harmonic voice. We couldn't take it, Alina confirmed. Joining the council would have meant transparency, sharing our technological developments, submitting to inspections. We knew the Nexus was coming, knew what it would take to fight them. So we chose isolation. We didn't build these ships to rule the galaxy, Vex. We built them to save it. They'd reached a central command center where dozens of officers monitored screens showing the Nexus invasion. A tall, distinguished woman in a black uniform approached them. Dr. Santos, welcome back. I see you've brought a guest. Admiral Chen. This is Vex, my research partner. He needs to know everything. The Admiral nodded grimly. The Nexus has breached the Outer Rim's defenses. Conventional weapons are proving ineffective, just as we predicted. The Council is in emergency session, but their response will be too late. She turned to face the massive tactical display. We've spent generations preparing for this moment. Operation Sentinel is now active. Around them, klaxons began to sound. The hidden fleet was awakening, crews rushing to their stations. Alina turned to Vex, seeing the questions in his crystalline structure. That empty seat in the council chamber, she said softly. It was never about Earth rejecting our place in the galaxy. It was about choosing a different role, not as politicians, but as guardians. We knew this day would come, and we couldn't let politics or bureaucracy stop us from preparing for it. Through the command center's windows, they watched as the first ships began to rise from their underground berths, their mysterious drives humming with power that defied conventional physics. The fleet that would change everything, built in secret, while humanity played the role of isolationists. Admiral Chen's voice cut through the noise. All ships, this is command. Operation Sentinel is now active. The Nexus has arrived, and Earth stands ready. For generations, we have prepared in silence. Today, we show the galaxy why. As the hidden fleet rose into the Antarctic sky, Alina realized that the empty council seat would soon have a very different meaning. Not a symbol of humanity's isolation, but a reminder of the lengths one species would go to protect them all. The true war for survival was about to begin. The hidden legacy. The Antarctic Command Center erupted with activity as reports flooded in from the Outer Rim. The Nexus advance had already consumed 3 border worlds, their bizarre biomechanical ships adapting to every conventional weapon thrown against them. Alina watched as Admiral Chen coordinated humanity's response, her movements precise and practiced, as if she'd rehearsed this moment 1,000 times. In truth, she had. They all had. Signal the Artemis fleet, Chen ordered, her voice carrying across the command center. Begin phase 1 of the containment protocol. She turned to Alina and Vex, her expression grave. Dr. Santos, your research partner needs to understand what he's about to witness. The Council must know what comes next. Alina nodded, leading Vex to a secure briefing room. The walls came alive with classified data spanning centuries of human preparation. When we first detected the Nexus, she explained, we realized conventional military development wouldn't be enough. We needed to fundamentally change our approach to physics, to warfare, to existence itself. The displays showed impossible experiments, theoretical breakthroughs that shouldn't have been possible for centuries. Project Sentinel wasn't just about building ships, Alina continued. It was about reshaping human civilization itself, all while maintaining a facade of normal technological progression for the rest of the galaxy. Vex's crystalline form pulsed with confusion. But the energy requirements alone, the computational power needed. We built quantum computers in secret bases beneath every major city, Alina explained. Developed zero-point energy extraction when the galaxy thought we were still struggling with fusion. Every public advancement we shared was carefully calculated to hide our true capabilities. The room's displays shifted to show the Artemis fleet in action. The sleek black ships approached the Nexus forces with impossible grace, their movements defying known laws of physics. As they engaged, something extraordinary happened. The ships didn't fire conventional weapons. Instead, they projected fields of pure quantum probability, turning space itself into a weapon. Nexus vessels caught in these fields began to break down at the fundamental level, their adaptive technology unable to cope with attacks that rewrote reality itself. By the first light, Vex whispered, his translator barely able to convey his awe. "You've weaponized quantum uncertainty." "Among other things," Admiral Chen said, entering the room. "The Artemis fleet is just the first layer of our defense. For generations, we've been called paranoid isolationists, refusing to share our advances with the galaxy. The truth is far more complex." The displays showed more hidden facilities around Earth and throughout the solar system. Vast shipyards concealed within dimensional pockets, research stations phased slightly out of normal spacetime, training facilities where humans learned to manipulate quantum fields with their minds. "We didn't just prepare our technology," Chen continued. "We prepared our people. Every human child for the past 3 generations has undergone subtle genetic optimization, enhancing their ability to interface with our quantum systems. We've evolved our entire species in secret, becoming something new." Elena could see Vex struggling to process the implications. "Your species deliberately guided its own evolution, while maintaining the appearance of normal development." "We had no choice," Elena said softly. "The Nexus doesn't just consume worlds, it absorbs knowledge, technology, and capabilities. Traditional military secrets wouldn't have been enough. We needed to become something they couldn't predict or replicate." The tactical displays suddenly flashed red. The Nexus had broken through the initial containment line, but their losses were unprecedented. The biomechanical entities had never encountered weapons they couldn't adapt to, and their confusion was evident in their erratic movements. "Launch the Prometheus protocol," Chen ordered into her command interface. Throughout the solar system, hidden facilities began to activate. Ships that had never known the touch of normal space emerged from their quantum docks. Crews who had trained their entire lives for this moment took their stations. "The Council needs to understand what happens next," Chen said to Vex. "When we reveal our full capabilities, there will be fear. Accusations. Some will say we've betrayed the principles of galactic cooperation. They need to know that everything we did to save them." Elena's neural interface pinged with new data. The Nexus had adapted to their initial quantum attacks, just as predicted. But that adaptation was part of humanity's plan. Each change in their biology, each shift in their strategy, had been calculated decades in advance. "We're receiving transmission from the Nexus," an officer announced. "They're attempting communication." The message appeared on their screens, a complex pattern of biochemical signals translated into text. "Your evolution is unprecedented. Explain." Admiral Chen smiled grimly. "Transmit response pattern alpha. Let them see exactly what they're facing." The response was sent, not in words or data, but in pure quantum information. The effect was immediate. Nexus ships recoiled, their biological components reacting in what could only be described as shock. "They understand now," Elena said quietly, "why Earth kept its seat empty, why we stayed apart from the Council. We weren't isolating ourselves out of fear or arrogance. We were becoming something else entirely, something that could stand against them." Vex turned to her, his crystalline form radiating concern. "The Council must be informed. This changes everything we thought we knew about humanity." "We know," Chen replied. "That's why you're here. When this is over, if we survive, the galaxy will need to understand. The empty seat in the Council chamber will need to be filled, but not by the humanity they thought they knew, by what we have become." Through the command center's quantum-enhanced displays, They watched as the full might of humanity's hidden legacy was finally unveiled. Ships moving through dimensions that shouldn't exist, weapons that turned probability itself into a force of destruction, crews linked together in ways that blurred the line between human and quantum computer. The real war was about to begin, and with it, the truth about humanity's long silence would finally be revealed to the galaxy. The empty seat in the council chamber would soon have a very different meaning, not a symbol of absence, but a marker of the most elaborate preparation in galactic history. Elena looked at Vex, seeing the mixture of awe and fear in his crystalline structure. "Tell the council," she said softly, "that humanity is finally ready to take its seat, and tell them to prepare for what that really means." The awakening. The Galactic Council chamber had never been so silent. Representatives from 1,000 worlds watched in stunned silence as the quantum-enhanced transmission showed them the truth about humanity's capabilities. Elena stood beside Admiral Chen as the holographic display revealed the full scope of Project Sentinel to the assembled species. For 3 centuries, Chen addressed the council, her voice steady. "Humanity has prepared for this moment. While you saw isolation, we were evolving. While you witnessed technological stagnation, we were transcending conventional physics. The Nexus is not just an invasion force, it is an extinction-level event that we have spent generations preparing to combat." The council erupted in a cacophony of voices and translated signals. The Arcturian delegate's crystalline form pulsed with intense frequencies. "You violated every principle of shared technological development. You conducted species-wide genetic modification without oversight." "We did what was necessary," Chen replied calmly. "The Nexus absorbs and adapts to any technology it encounters. Traditional military secrets wouldn't have been enough. We needed to become something fundamentally different, something they couldn't predict or replicate. Through the quantum feeds, they could all see the battle unfolding in the outer rim. The Nexus forces were facing something they had never encountered in their millennia of conquest, an enemy that had specifically evolved to counter their every advantage. Human ships phased through dimensions, their quantum-enhanced crews operating on levels of reality the Nexus couldn't access. Where traditional weapons had failed, humanity's quantum arsenal rewrote the laws of physics locally, creating spaces where the Nexus's adaptive capabilities worked against them. "The dimensional phase strike is working," Elena reported, analyzing the tactical data. "The Nexus can't adapt to weapons that exist in quantum superposition. Every time they try, they're forced to confront all possible adaptations simultaneously." The Delphian representative, a being of pure energy contained within a crystalline matrix, moved forward. "Your species has achieved quantum consciousness. You've merged your biological evolution with technological advancement in ways we thought impossible." "Not impossible," Elena corrected, "just requiring more dedication than any species was willing to commit. Every human child born in the last 3 generations was subtly enhanced, their neural pathways optimized for quantum computing interfaces. We rebuilt our entire civilization from the ground up, all while maintaining the illusion of normal development." The tactical displays shifted, showing the Nexus forces attempting to counter humanity's quantum attacks. Their biomechanical ships twisted in impossible ways, trying to match the dimensional shifting of the human fleet. But each adaptation only played into humanity's strategic model, a model 3 centuries in the making. "Launch the Prometheus Protocol," Chen ordered. Throughout known space, hidden human facilities activated. Ships emerged from quantum docks, their crews linked in ways that blurred the line between individual and collective consciousness. They were humanity's final evolution, beings capable of perceiving and manipulating quantum reality directly. The council chamber's sensors struggled to track what happened next. The human fleet didn't just engage the Nexus, they rewrote the space around them. Reality itself became a weapon, as carefully prepared quantum algorithms collapsed probability waves in precisely calculated patterns. By the first light, Vex whispered from his position among the Arcturian delegation. "They're not just fighting the Nexus. They're changing the fundamental rules of engagement." Elena nodded. Traditional combat assumes a shared reality operating under consistent physical laws. We spent centuries learning to transcend those limitations. The Nexus adapts to conditions within normal spacetime. We simply step outside those boundaries. The quantum feeds showed Nexus ships trying to process what they were facing. Their biological components registered confusion, then something approaching fear. They had encountered countless civilizations, absorbed countless technologies, but they had never faced an enemy that had specifically engineered itself to be their antithesis. We received their analysis, a communications officer reported. They're attempting to understand our quantum consciousness network. Their response is uncertain. Through the quantum link, the Nexus's message echoed with a mixture of confusion and growing realization. Your evolution, the FI is PROBABILITY. Your existence is an MPOSIDILIT. Admiral Chen's response was transmitted not in words, but in pure quantum information, a complete revelation of humanity's true nature. The Nexus recoiled, their entire fleet temporarily destabilizing as they processed the implications. They understand now, Elena said softly, why we kept the council seat empty, why we isolated ourselves. We weren't hiding from the galaxy. We were protecting it, becoming what we needed to be to ensure its survival. The council chamber erupted in new debates. Some representatives called for immediate sanctions against Earth for its secret evolution. Others argued for full integration of human quantum technology throughout galactic civilization. But beneath all the arguments lay a deeper understanding. Humanity had seen a threat coming and had sacrificed everything, even its place in galactic society, to prepare for this moment. Through the quantum network, they felt the first tentative requests from council worlds, seeking to understand humanity's capabilities, to learn from their long evolution. The fear was still there, but mixed with something else. Hope, understanding, recognition that humanity's long silence had served a greater purpose. The dawn of a new age, Vex observed, his crystalline form reflecting the shifting quantum lights. But what happens now? Your species has revealed capabilities that change everything we thought we knew about evolution, about consciousness, about reality itself. Elena smiled, feeling the quantum network pulse with the combined consciousness of humanity. Now we do what we prepared for all along. We take our seat in the council, not as the species we pretended to be, but as what we have become, and we help guide the galaxy into an era where evolution isn't just about adaptation. It's about choice, about purpose, about becoming what we need to be. As the quantum feeds showed the last of the Nexus fleet departing known space, humanity's long vigil was finally ending. The empty seat that had puzzled the galaxy for centuries would finally be filled. But it would be filled by a humanity that had evolved far beyond what anyone had imagined. A species that had sacrificed everything, even its place in galactic society, to become exactly what was needed when the moment came. The new dawn had arrived, and with it, the true meaning of humanity's long silence was finally clear to all. But the cost of humanity's advantage was becoming clear. The council feeds showed growing unrest throughout the galaxy. Species that had considered humans distant but reliable allies now saw them as something else entirely. A civilization that had hidden its true nature for centuries. We're detecting quantum fluctuations in the Nexus fleet, an officer reported. They're attempting to force evolve their entire collective consciousness. Sir, the pattern suggests they're willing to sacrifice half their fleet to achieve this evolution. Chen's expression hardened. They're desperate. They've never encountered a species they couldn't eventually adapt to. Their entire strategy relies on absorption and evolution, and we've just shown them an evolutionary path they can't easily replicate. The quantum displays shifted, showing the Nexus ships beginning a suicidal maneuver. Their biomechanical forms merged together, sacrificing individual units to fuel a massive evolutionary leap. The space around their fleet warped as they tried to force their way into quantum consciousness. They don't understand, Elena said, watching the desperate gambit. We didn't just evolve our technology or our bodies. We evolved our entire approach to existence. Every apparent weakness in our civilization was carefully crafted to hide our true capabilities. Through the command network, Chen issued new orders. The human fleet began a complex maneuver that had been practiced countless times in secret. Ships moved in patterns that seemed chaotic, but were precisely calculated to create quantum resonance fields. The Council needs to understand what happens next, Chen said to Vex. What they're about to witness isn't just warfare. It's the result of centuries of prepared evolution. Every human linked to our network has been trained since birth for this moment. The quantum feeds showed the human fleet's response. But it wasn't just the ships that engaged. It was the collective consciousness of humanity itself. 3 centuries of hidden evolution manifested in a wave of pure quantum intention. Reality itself seemed to shudder as humanity revealed the true extent of their capabilities. The Nexus's desperate evolution was met not with weapons, but with the focused will of a species that had spent generations preparing for this exact moment. Signal the Council, Chen ordered. Tell them to prepare for what comes next. The price of power isn't just in what we've become. It's in what we must do with that power. As the battle entered its next phase, Elena realized that humanity's greatest test wasn't just defeating the Nexus. It was proving to the galaxy that 3 centuries of secret evolution hadn't just created a new threat. It had created a guardian for all sentient life. The true cost of humanity's power was about to become clear to everyone. A new dawn. The quantum consciousness network hummed with unprecedented activity as humanity prepared for its final gambit. In the Antarctic Command Center, Admiral Chen stood motionless, her enhanced mind linked to thousands of others through the quantum field. The Nexus fleet had survived their desperate evolution attempt, but at a terrible cost. Half their ships had been sacrificed to achieve a crude form of quantum consciousness. They'd done exactly what we predicted, Elena observed, studying the tactical displays. 3 centuries ago, our simulations showed this would be their response. They couldn't accept encountering a species they couldn't adapt to. Vex's crystalline form rippled with concern as he watched the Nexus ships move in new patterns, their remaining fleet now operating with a twisted version of humanity's quantum capabilities. But surely they must realize it's a trap. Your species spent generations preparing for this exact scenario. They know, Chen replied, her voice distant, as she coordinated the quantum network, but they have no choice. Their entire existence is based on adaptation and evolution. Meeting a species that deliberately engineered itself to be their counterpart, they have to try to overcome us, or their entire purpose is invalidated. The quantum feeds showed the Nexus fleet advancing, their newly evolved consciousness reaching out to probe humanity's defenses. But each probe was met with layers of preparation laid down through centuries of careful planning. Begin the Genesis Protocol, Chen ordered. Throughout the solar system, hidden quantum generators activated. These weren't weapons in any conventional sense. They were the culmination of humanity's long evolution, tools designed to reshape reality itself. Elena's enhanced consciousness felt the change rippling through space-time. We're not just fighting them anymore, she explained to Vex. We're showing them why we chose isolation, why we kept our seat empty. Everything we became was designed for this moment. The Nexus fleet's advance faltered as they encountered something unprecedented. Through the quantum feeds, they watched as the Nexus fleet began a strategic retreat. Not in fear, but in recognition. They had encountered something unprecedented, a species that had deliberately engineered its own improbability. The real war is just beginning, Chen announced to the Council. The Nexus will return with new strategies, new adaptations, but humanity will be ready. We always have been. The empty seat in this chamber was never a rejection of galactic society. It was a promise that when the time came, humanity would be what the galaxy needed us to be. As if to emphasize her words, the quantum displays showed more human ships emerging from hidden facilities throughout the galaxy. Each one represented decades of preparation, centuries of sacrifice, generations of carefully guided evolution. The age of humanity's isolation was over. The age of awakening had begun. The price of power. The quantum displays in Earth's Antarctic Command Center painted the room in shifting patterns of light as they tracked the Nexus fleet's retreat. But Admiral Chen's expression remained grave. 3 centuries of preparation had given humanity its first victory, but the cost of their choices was becoming increasingly clear. "We're receiving transmissions from 17 Council worlds," a communications officer reported. "They're demanding immediate inspections of all human facilities. They want oversight of our quantum consciousness program." Elena watched as Chen absorbed this news, knowing the Admiral had anticipated this response decades ago. The galaxy wasn't just afraid of the Nexus anymore. They were afraid of humanity. And perhaps they had reason to be. "Show them," Chen ordered quietly. The quantum feeds shifted, revealing a truth that even most humans hadn't known until now. Across Earth's surface, vast underground cities pulsed with quantum energy. Not military installations, but entire societies that had evolved in secret, testing the limits of human potential. "This isn't just about weapons or ships," Elena explained to Vex, who had remained as Earth's primary council witness. "We didn't just change our technology. We changed what it means to be human." Every child born in these facilities was part of a carefully designed evolutionary path. The displays showed children manipulating quantum fields with their thoughts, their consciousness existing partially outside normal spacetime. Adults linked in vast networks of shared consciousness, their individual minds flowing together in ways that defied conventional understanding. By the first light, Vex whispered, his crystalline form dimming with shock. "You built entire shadow civilizations. While the galaxy saw your surface cities, your real development was happening underground." A new alert cut through the command center. The Nexus had regrouped faster than expected, and their new formation suggested they had begun to adapt to humanity's quantum warfare. But their adaptation revealed something troubling. "They're not just learning," Elena realized, studying the patterns. "They're trying to replicate our quantum evolution. Their biomechanical systems are attempting to mimic our consciousness network." Chen nodded grimly. "As we predicted. That's why we couldn't risk sharing our advances with the Council. The Nexus doesn't just copy technology. They absorb evolutionary paths. If they had detected our development earlier, they would have had centuries to prepare countermeasures." The quantum feeds showed Nexus ships beginning to phase between dimensions, clumsily at first, but with increasing sophistication. Their biological components were rapidly evolving, trying to bridge the gap between conventional and quantum existence. "Launch the Orpheus Protocol," Chen ordered. Throughout the command center, officers touched quantum interfaces, their enhanced consciousness spreading through the fleet's network. "Show them why we kept this capability hidden for so long." The human fleet's response was devastating. Ships didn't just phase through dimensions, they rewrote local spacetime, creating bubbles of altered reality, where the Nexus's adaptations worked against them. Every attempt to copy human quantum evolution was met with countermeasures designed centuries in advance. "Your species," Vex said quietly, "didn't just prepare for war. You prepared for every possible version of war." "We had to," Elena replied. "The moment we detected the Nexus's approach, we ran the simulations. Conventional victory was impossible. We needed to become something fundamentally different, something that could win not just battles, but evolutionary warfare." Through the quantum network, they felt the Nexus's growing frustration. Their attempts to adapt were being countered before they could fully form. Each evolutionary path they tried to copy led them into carefully prepared traps.